Okay, let's continue. On that bright Saturday morning, I was learning a completely different point of view from what I had been taught by my poor dad. At the age of 9, I grew aware that both dads wanted me to learn. Both dads encouraged me to study, but not the same things. My highly educated dad recommended that I do what he said. Son, I want you to study hard, get good grades so you can find a safe, secure job with a big company and make sure it has excellent benefits. My rich dad wanted me to learn how money works so I could make it work for me. These lessons I would learn through life with his guidance, not because of a classroom. Marriage Dad continued, my first lesson. I'm glad you got angry about working for 10 cents an hour. If you had not gotten angry and had gladly accepted it, I would have to tell you that I could not teach you. You see, true learning takes energy, passion, a burning desire. Anger is a big part of that formula. For passion is anger and love combined. When it comes to money, most people want to play it safe and feel secure, so passion does not direct them. Fear does. So, is it that why they will take a job with low pay? I asked. Yes, said Rich Dad. Some people say I exploit people because I don't pay as much as sugar plantation or the government. I say the people exploit themselves. It's their fear, not mine. But don't you feel you should pay them more? I asked. I don't have to. And besides, more money will not solve their problem. Just look at your dad. He makes a lot of money and he still can't pay his bills. Most people given more money only get into more debt. So that's why the 10 cents an hour, I said, smiling. It's a part of the lesson. That's right, smiled Rich Dad. You see, your dad went to school and got an excellent education so he could get a high paying job, which he said, but he still has money problems because he never learned anything about money and school. On top of that, he believes in working for money. And you don't? I asked. No, not really, said Rich Dad. If you want to learn to work for money, then stay in school. That is a great place to learn to do that. But if you want to learn how to have money work for you, then I will teach you that. But only if you want to learn. Wouldn't everyone want to learn that? I asked. No, Rich Dad said. Simply because it's easier to learn to work for money, especially if fear is your primary emotion when the subject of money is discussed. I don't understand, I said with a frown. Don't worry about that for now. Just know that it's fear that keeps most people working at a job. The fear of not paying their bills, the fear of being fired, the fear of not having enough money, the fear of starting over. That's the price of studying to learn a profession or trade and then working for money. Most people become a slave to money and then get angry at their boss. Learning to have money work for you is a completely different course of study. I asked. Absolutely, Rich Dad answered. Absolutely. We sat in silence on that beautiful Hawaiian Saturday morning. My friends would have just been starting their little league baseball game, but for no reason I was now thankful I had decided to work for 10 cents an hour. I sensed that I was about to learn something my friends would not learn in school. Ready to learn? Asked Rich Dad. Absolutely, I said with a grin. Grinning smiled broadly. I have kept my promise. I have been teaching you from afar, my rich dad said. At 9 years old, you have gotten a taste of what it feels like to work for money. Just multiply your last month by 50 years and you will have an idea of what most people spend their life doing. I don't understand, I said. How did you feel waiting in the line to see me? Once to get hired and once to ask for more money. Terrible, I said. If you choose to work for money, that is what life is like for many people, said Rich Dad. And how did you feel when Mrs. Martin dropped 3 dimes in your hand for 3 hours' work? I felt like it wasn't enough. It seemed like nothing. I was disappointed, I said. And that is how most people feel when they look at their paychecks, especially after all the tax and other deductions are taken out. At least you got 100%. You mean most workers don't get paid everything? I asked with amazement. Heavens no, Rich Dad said. The government always takes its share first. How do they do that? I asked. Taxes, said Rich Dad. You have taxed when you earn. You are taxed when you spend. You are taxed when you save. You are taxed when you die. Why do people let the government do that to them? The rich don't, said Rich Dad with a smile. The poor and the middle class do. I will bet you that I earn more than your dad, yet he pays more in taxes. How can that be? I asked. As a 9-year old boy, that made no sense to me. Why would someone let the government do that to them? Rich Dad sat there in silence. I guess he wanted me to listen instead of jabber away at the mouth. Finally, I calmed down. I did not like what I had heard. I knew my dad complained constantly about paying so much in taxes, but really did nothing about it. Was that life pushing him around? Rich Dad rocked slowly and silently in his chair, just looking at me. Ready to learn? He asked. I nodded my head slowly. As I sat, as I said, there is a lot to learn. Learning how to have money work for you is a lifetime study. Most people go to college for 4 years and their education ends. I already know that my study of money will continue over my lifetime simply because the more I find out I need to know. Most people never study the subject. They go to work, get the paycheck, balance their checkbooks, and that's it. On top of that, they wonder why they have money problems. Then they think that more money will solve the problem. Few realize that it's the lack of financial education that is the problem. So, my dad has tax problems because he doesn't understand money. I asked, confused. Look, said Rich Dad, taxes are just one small section on learning how to have money work for you. Today, I just wanted to find out if you still have the passion to learn about money. Most people don't. They want to go to school, learn a profession, have fun at their work, and earn lots of money. One day they wake up with big money problems. And then they can't stop working. That's the price of only knowing how to work for money instead of studying how to have money work for you. So, do you still have the passion to learn? Asked Rich Dad. I nodded my head. Good, said Rich Dad. Now get back to work. This time I will pay you nothing. What? I asked in amazement. You heard me, nothing. You will work for the same 3 hours every Saturday, but this time you will not be paid 10 cents per hour. You said you wanted to learn to work for money, so I am not going to pay you anything. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I've already had this conversation with Mike. He's already working, dusting and stacking canned foods for free. You'd better hurry and get back there. That's not fair, I shouted. You have got to pay something. You said you wanted to learn. If you didn't learn this now, you will grow up to be like the two women and the older man sitting in my living room, working for money and hoping I don't fire them. Or like your dad, earning lots of money only to be in the debt up to his eyeballs, hoping more money will solve the problem. If that's what you want, I will go back to our original deal of 10 cents an hour. Or you can do what most people grew up to do, complain that there is not enough pay, quit and go looking for another job. But what do I do? I asked. Rich Dad tapped me on the head. Use this, he said. If you use it well, you will soon thank me for giving you an opportunity and you will grow into a rich man. I stood there, still not believing what a raw deal I had been handed. Here I come to ask for a raise, and now I was being told to keep working for nothing. Rich Dad tapped me on the head again and said, "Use this. Now get out of here and get back to work." Lesson 1. The rich don't work for money. I didn't tell my poor dad I wasn't being paid. He would have he would not have understood, and I did not want to try to explain something that I did not yet understood myself. For 3 more weeks, Mike and I worked for 3 hours every Saturday for nothing. The work didn't bother me, and the routine got easier. It was the missed baseball games and not being able to afford to buy a new comic book that got to me. Rich Dad stopped by at noon on the third week. We heard his truck pull up in the parking lot and sputter when the engine was turned off. He entered the store and greeted Mrs. Martin with a hug. After finding out how things were going in the store, he reached into the ice cream freezer, pulled out 2 bars, paid for them, and signaled to Mike and me, "Let's go for a walk, boys." We crossed the street, dodging a few cars, and walked across a large, grassy field where a few adults were playing football. Sitting down at a remote picnic table, he handed Mike and me the ice cream bars. "How's it going, boys?" "Okay," Mike said. I nodded in agreement. "Learn anything yet?" Richard asked. Mike and I looked at each other, shrugged our shoulders, and shook our heads in unison. Unison means to turn one's head from side to side as a way of answering no. As a title, avoiding one of the life's biggest traps. Well, you boys had better start thinking. You are starting at one of the life's biggest lessons. If you learn the lesson, you will enjoy a life of great freedom and security. If you don't learn the lesson, you will wind up like Mrs. Martin and most of the people playing softball in this park. They work very hard for little money, clinging to the illusion of job security, looking forward to the 3 weeks vacation each year and a skimpy pension after 45 years of work. If that excites you, I will give you a raise to 25 cents an hour. But these are good, hard-working people. Are you making fun of them? I demanded. A smile came over Rich Dad's face. "Mrs. Martin is like a mother to me. I would never be that cruel. I may sound cruel because I am doing my best to point something out to the two of you. I want to expand your point of view so you can see something most people never have the benefit of saying because their vision is too narrow. Most people never see the trap they are in." Mike and I sat there uncertain of his message. He sounded cruel, yet we could sense he was desperately wanting us to know something. With a smile, Richard said, "Doesn't that 25 cents an hour sound good? Doesn't it make your heart beat a little faster?" I shook my head. "No, but it really did. 25 cents an hour would be big bucks to me." "Okay, I will pay you $1 an hour," Rich Dad said with a sly grin. Now my heart was beginning to race. My brain was screaming, "Take it, take it." I could not believe what I was hearing. Still, I said nothing. "Okay, $2 an hour." My little 9-year-old brain and heart nearly exploded. After all, it was 1956, and being paid $2 an hour would have made me the richest kid in the world. I couldn't imagine earning that kind of money. I wanted to say yes. I wanted the deal. I could see a new bicycle, new baseball glove, and adoration of my friends when I flashed some cash. On top of that, Jimmy and his rich friends could never call me poor again. But somehow my mouth stayed silent. Maybe my brain had overheated and blown a fuse. But deep down, I badly wanted the $2 an hour. The ice cream had melted and was running down my hand. The ice cream stick was empty, and under it was a sticky mess of vanilla and a chocolate that ants were enjoying. Rich Dad was looking at two boys staring back at him, eyes wide open and brains empty. He knew he was testing us, and he knew there was a part of our emotions that wanted to take the deal. He knew that each human being has a weak and a needy part of their soul that can be bought. And he knew that each human being also had a part of their soul that was strong and filled with a resolve that could never be bought. It was only a question of which one was stronger. He had tested thousands of souls in his life. He tested souls every time he interviewed someone for a job. Okay, $5 an hour. Suddenly there was a silence from inside. Something had changed. The offer was too big and had gotten ridiculous. Not too many grown ups in 1956 made more than $5 an hour. The temptation disappeared and a calm set in. There was a calm and a certainty about money that entered my brain and my soul. I knew Mike had gotten to that point also. Good, Rich Dad said softly. Most people have a price, and they have a price because human emotions named fear and greed. First, the fear of being without money motivates us to work hard, and then once we get that paycheck, greed or desire starts us thinking about all the wonderful things money can buy. And then the pattern is set. What pattern? I asked. The pattern of get up, go to work, and pay bills. Get up, go to work, pay bills. Their lives are then run forever by two emotions, fear and greed. Offer them more money and they continue the cycle by also increasing their spendings. This is what I call the rat race. There is another way, Mike asked. Yes, said Rich Dad slowly, but only a few people find it. And what is that way? Mike asked. That's what I hope you boys will find out as you work and study with me. That is why I took away all forms of pay. Any hints? Mike asked. We are kind of tired of working hard, especially for nothing. Well, the first step is telling the truth, said Rich Dad. We haven't been lying, I said. I did not say you were lying. I said to tell the truth. Rich Dad came back. The truth about what? I asked. How you are feeling, Rich Dad said. You don't have to say it to anyone else, just yourself. You mean the people at this park? The people who work for you? Mrs. Martin, they don't do that. I asked. I doubt it, said Rich Dad. Instead, they feel the fear of not having money. Instead of confronting the fear, they react instead of think. They react emotionally instead of using their heads. Rich Dad said, tapping us on our heads. Then they get a few bucks in their hands, and again the emotion of joy and desire and greed take over, and again they react instead of thinking. So their emotions do the thinking, Mike asked. That's correct, said Rich Dad. Instead of telling the truth about how they feel, they react to their feeling, fail to think. They feel the fear they are going to work, hoping that money will soothe the fear. But it doesn't. That old fear haunts them, and they go back to work, hoping again that money will calm their fears. And again, it doesn't. Fear has them in this trap of working, earning money, hoping the fear will go away. But every day they get up, and that old fear wakes up with them. For millions of people, that old fear keeps them awake all night, causing a night of turmoil and worry. So they get up and go to work, hoping that the paycheck will kill that fear, knowing at their soul. Money is running their lives, and they refuse to tell the truth about that. Money is in control of their emotions and hence their souls. Rich Dad sat quietly, letting his words sink in. Mike and I heard what he said, but really did not understand fully what he was talking about. I just knew that I often wondered why grown ups hurried off to work. It did not seem like much fun, and they never looked that happy. But something kept them hurrying off to work. Realizing we had absorbed as much as possible of what he was talking about, Rich Dad said, I want you boys to avoid that trap. That is really what I want to teach you. Not just to be rich, because being rich does not solve the problem. It doesn't? I asked, surprised. No, it doesn't. Let me finish the other emotion, which is desire. Some call it greed, but I prefer desire. It is perfectly normal to desire something better, prettier, more fun, or exciting. So people also work for money because of desire. They desire money for the joy they think it can buy. But the joy that money brings is often short lived, and they soon need more money for more joy, more pleasure, more comfort, more security. So they keep working, thinking money will soothe their souls, and that is troubled by fear and desire. But money cannot do that. Even rich people, Mike asked. Rich people included, said Rich Dad. In fact, the reason many rich people are rich is not because of desire, but because of fear. They actually think that money can eliminate that fear of not having money, of being poor. So they amass tons of it only to find out the fear gets worse. They now fear losing it. I have friends who keep working even though they have plenty. I know people who have millions of who are more afraid now than when they were poor. They are terrified of losing all their money. The fears that drove them to get rich got worse. That weak and needy part of their soul is actually screaming louder. They don't want to lose the big houses, the cars, the high life that money has brought them. They worry about what their friends would say if they all lost all of their money. Many are emotionally desperate and neurotic, although they look rich and have more money. So, is a poor man happier? I asked. No, I don't think so, replied Rich Dad. The avoidance of money is just as psychotic as being attached to money. As if we're on the queue the, and the town derelict went past our table, stopped by the large rubbish can and rummaging around it. Town derelict, see, it is a person abandoned by society, a person without a permanent house and means of support, can be called as a beggar. The three of us watched him with great interest. When before we probably would have just ignored him, Rich Dad pulled $1 out of his wallet and gestured to the older man. Seeing the money, the dialect came over immediately, took the bill, thanked Rich and profusely, and hurried off ecstatic with his good fortune. Well, I will have to end this part here. I will continue the story and the book, this part, in the next video. Thanks for watching. If you find this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe for more videos in the future. Bye bye. Take care.